let everyone know that we're here.
Yeah.
Here. Let me do that real quick. All right. Does everything sound okay? Sound kosher? All right.
Let's see.
Check 1, 2, 3, check. We're doing the thing. The thing and the whatnot.
Sounds like there's maybe a little bit of an echo.
Oh, is there? Let me turn this off and turn it back on real quick. Check. All right. I think I might check.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check audio. Check 1, 2.
Is it back? Are we back? Check. Chickadee chick. Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. Hello.
All right, it's good now.
Okay, good.
There's like a 30-second delay on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I was seeing the green, the audio capture was green, but I was like, I hope OBS didn't fart out when I closed out loopback.
Well, it's like the great Stanley Ipkiss once said, you can't make the scene if you don't have green.
Yeah. Well, we're sounding good now, apparently. Everybody says we're sounding good. What's up, chat room? How you doing? Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
And you ready to do this thing?
Sure.
Well, all right. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Greetings, programs, and Merry Christmas. It is the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And I am a very festive Derek Diamond.
I don't have any. I don't have an ugly sweater. I don't have anything festive to wear for the show.
I have more than I care to admit. So I guess we balance each other out in that aspect.
I'll just need to get me a sweater for next year for the show. They had some cool ones at Walmart. They had like a Darth Vader one, and they had a Jack Pumpkinhead one. So I might get one for next year.
You know what's crazy is Walmart has really upped their clothes game over like the last year. Like I remember when I was a kid, you got like Wrangler jeans and plain T-shirts. Now they have like because I got some gifts for my niece and nephews, and I was looking at the kids' clothes section. And I'm like, I would wear like 3/4 of this.
Yeah.
Like they had a pair of Sonic pajamas, and I'm like, I'd wear those at 38.
Dude, they got like a whole Snoop Dogg section now in Walmart.
You can't see them, but I actually have the Snoop Dogg Christmas pants.
Nice.
I'm wearing those.
Awesome. Well, you're all decked out. Even where we can't see you, you got Christmas stuff on.
Yeah. No, it's Halloween is right up there too, but Halloween and Christmas are like my 1A and 1B for favorite holidays, and they're just months apart, so it's like October to December, the house is decked out in all kinds of cool stuff.
And I got your present too. I need to drop in the mail. I'm dropping your present in the mail, and everybody's stickers that I got to get in the mail too. Thank you for everybody for sending in your pictures of us in your top 5 for the year.
Yeah, that was nice to see.
I was almost to the point where I was like, have I made a mistake? Because I was like starting to get them in, and I'm like, no, we're at a good number. So. But it still stands. If we're in your top 5 for the year, let me know, and I'll send you a free sticker over the holidays.
Yeah, not sure what I'm going to do with mine yet, but I got to do the same with yours. It's funny, I actually had to go by the post office today to mail a thumb drive with some wedding videos of a couple whose wedding I filmed a while back. The line was almost out the door.
Really?
Yeah, I was the 11th person in line, and this is around lunchtime.
Wow.
Thankfully, the line moved fast. I was only in there for like 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Nick Windling in the chat says, that's not a 20-year-old game, LOL. Like, okay, Wally.
It is not, but we're making an exception because of a certain movie that's coming out in a couple of days.
And speaking of that, we are taking next week off. So just off the top, we're taking next week off because it is Christmas, but we are going to have some extra bonus content coming out. And so I think we're going to try, hopefully if I get to watch it over the weekend, we're going to do a review, like a spoiler-filled review of the new Sonic movie. So we'll try to get that out. Plus we have a commentary track we need to do. Going to try to get that out, and Derek's supposed to be sending me some roundtable stuff from the Real Wisdom, and we got a request for Defending Bad Movies 1 to be put up on the feed. I don't know whatever happened to that. Why did we not put that on the Nerd Cave Retro feed?
I don't know, but we'll rectify that.
Yeah,
I was actually thinking like those first two, especially the Defending Bad Movies panels, were two of my favorite that we've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that second one because, it was in Saturday night in like a prime time slot. It was right before the costume contest and the room was packed. Everyone besides me made everyone laugh, so it was a good time.
Yeah. And Tyler asks, what if I use a podcast app that doesn't have a rating system or top 5? Well, Tyler, since you're kind of a rock star here on the show and we love you to death, go ahead and just send me your address and I'll send you a sticker for Christmas because you've sent me some cool stuff in the past. So the least I can do is send you a sticker.
Robin's Claus is in full effect tonight.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm feeling nice for the holidays.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know about you, but it was like it took forever to get to Thanksgiving. And then once Thanksgiving hit, like I can't believe Christmas is next week.
I feel like Thanksgiving just happened and it's already Christmas. I'm like, what happened, man?
I don't know, but it's been a crazy, wild year that, we've only got like less than 2 weeks now left of it. And then we'll be into 2025.
One more episode and we'll be done for the year.
And then 2005 games will be review eligible.
Gross. I don't like that at all. Before we go into the news for tonight, I forgot to do 2 of our messages for the 400th episode last week. And up first is, of course, Mr. Wiley Phelps. And he says, I am thrilled with what you have accomplished with 400 episodes of Jason and Derek complaining about Nintendo not changing and actually becoming more anti-consumer. But continue to give Nintendo money. Here's to 400 more. Thanks,
Written
Wally.
as only Wally can write it.
And, of course, Bethany in the Discord wrote, being the 400th episode is a major feat, and usually I say things throughout the year, but I guess my favorite episode is still the Fever Rant of Fester's Quest review. Congratulations, guys, on this milestone and many more to come. I've personally watched the community grow, and the introduction of the Discord server and community engagement has been awesome. From game nights to community guest hosts to the introduction of listener reviews has to be great. Thanks for the wonderful years that have been to many more to come. Thank you, Bethany, for that. And thank you for being our community manager. And we do need to start doing some game nights again because we used to do the Among Us game nights, and man, those were fun.
Until you betrayed me and shattered my heart.
My bad.
No, those were so much fun. I hope we can bring back those and the community spotlight episodes too, because those were a lot of fun.
Yeah, so if you want to maybe get on the community spotlight, go join our Discord, become a Patreon supporter, all that good stuff, and you might end up on the show here reviewing something one night. You never know what'll happen here at the Nerd Cave Retro Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we do anything, we got some news to get to. Derek, you ready for the news?
Sure.
All of tonight's stories were provided by Armez Jackson, and if you have a news story you'd like us to cover, send nerdcaveretro@gmail.com, and I can't read tonight for some reason. My tongue is not working for me. He says, this has been announced for all current systems. This is definitely a day one purchase, and this is from gamespress.com. This is a press release for noir-fueled first-person shooter Mouse PI for Hire. Announces console release during Xbox Showcase. The major news hot off the presses as revealed during the Xbox Partner preview today on October. Wait, was this in October? Yeah, this was way back in October. I can't believe we're just now hearing about this. PI for Hire will be launching on consoles in 2025. And Mouse PI for Hire step into the paws of private investigator Jack Pepper as you navigate Mouseburg, a noir city teeming with gangs, mob violence, and a host of characters from a seedy criminal underbelly, utilize an assorted arsenal of weapons, power-ups, and explosives as you unravel dark secrets and embark on a quest for justice. And I don't know if you got to watch the announcement trailer for it, but it's got a very first-person Cuphead vibe to it that's kind of scratching all my itches. Like, I really want to play this.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. This, as soon as I saw the opening graphics, I'm like, this very much has Cuphead vibes to it. The fact that it's a first-person shooter, I think, is really cool. And I love the throwback style of animation. It's even more prevalent to me as in the first-person shooter perspective, because you can see, the broad stroke lines around the gun. It's just, I can't remember a game ever being like that, where you play as in this old cartoon style, like the early Disney or Looney Tunes style.
Yeah.
As a first-person shooter.
And
I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, it's that old black and white, like, crazy animation. Yeah, it's the Cuphead type animation. You know exactly what it is when you see it, and it brings you back to, a specific time in, animation. And it's like, wow, this looks really cool. Like, imagine play it. It's exactly what you think it is. It's a first-person shooter in an old-school cartoon. It's exactly what it is.
I mean, this hits so many things that I like. I like first-person shooter games. I really enjoyed Cuphead, despite the fact that it was obnoxiously difficult. But I love the animation. I love the art style to it. So I'm with Armez Jackson on this. I think this is like a must get.
Yeah.
On opening day. Next up, from NintendoLife.com, new side-scroller entry in legendary Ninja Gaiden series announced for the Switch. To kick off this year's Game Awards, let's see, Dotemku and the Game Kitchen announced a new entry in the legendary Ninja Gaiden series. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is coming to the Switch and multiple other platforms in summer 2025 and is a brand new 2D side-scroller starring a new hero known as Kenji Mozu. The full story from the official press release says, a new hero, Kenji Mozu, emerges in Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. The story picks up in Hayabusa Village after Ryu Hayabusa heads to America to avenge his father's death, as told in the NES version of Ninja Gaiden. Suddenly, the veil between the human and demon worlds is torn, opening a doorway to darkness in Hayabusa Village. Kenji Mozu, a young ninja out of the Hayabusa clan, throws himself into battle, determined to protect his village and its people from a looming demonic threat in this dark and dangerous era.
Has there ever been anything more speaking my language than this right here?
It's interesting that the story is kind of parallel.
Yeah,
with the original Ninja Gaiden game.
That's
I really like that.
Excited me about it because this game takes place the exact same time as the original Ninja Gaiden. So I'm there. This right here is day one purchase for me.
Yeah, I had no doubt of that, and it looks really cool. It sounds great. I love the storyline aspect to it, so this will be cool.
And I'm gonna have to stream this too. Like I'm streaming this because I want to see how long I'm wondering if it's gonna take me 30 years to beat this one, or if it's gonna be modernized and I can actually beat it in a couple of hours.
Would you be disappointed if you could just beat it in a couple of hours?
Maybe. I don't know. But I don't have the 30 years. I've got maybe 30 years left if I'm lucky, because I'll be, 77 by the time I beat this game. But, Like, I'd like to be able to beat it in a reasonable amount. Anyway, not just in a few hours, but somewhere between a few hours and 30 years. Somewhere in that time span would be nice.
Maybe you could get a good couple of months of streaming content out of it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I would go for that.
Yeah.
The next story is also from NintendoLife.com. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. The blood-soaked jewels and the crown of storied cult franchise Soul Reaver and its sequel were praised on release for original gameplay and stellar visuals. Let's see. These games are easily the strongest entry in a series that was spanned 2 decades before sadly ending in 2018 with the ill-fated online PvP title Nosgoth. Now it is being granted new life thanks to a faithful clutch of remasters from Aspyr, the developers of the great Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered, also originally from Crystal Dynamics. Let's see. Both titles are semi-open world puzzle adventures where you battle through an enemy-infested landscape. Let's see. Raziel fights his former vampire brethren as well as humans determined to eradicate his kind. Gameplay also features puzzles to solve and light platforming elements. There's nothing too taxing here, pushing blocks and hitting switches as we all had back in 1999. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. A lot of exposition here, but I'm trying to look for, let's see, conclusion. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 are just as enjoyable and atmospheric as they were 2 decades ago. This remaster treatment faithfully cleans up the visuals, adds some quality of life improvements, and stuffs the package with bonus materials, presenting the games at their best, notwithstanding some minor visual bugs. Here's hoping the success of the collection sparks an interest in a return to Nosgoth.
Nosgoth is such a fun word.
Yeah, I like the Nosgoth.
Yeah.
I never played
you right
these
in the Nosgoth.
I never played these games back in the day, the Legacy of Kain games. Did you ever play them?
No, I was disappointed whenever it wasn't about Kain and the Undertaker.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I remember hearing about them, but they just never appealed to me enough to pull the trigger and get them.
Same.
But it's cool that they're finding new life.
Yeah.
You know, I liked here, even if it's something I'm not really interested in, I know there's still an audience out there that would love to see a game like this get remastered. So yeah, I think it's cool.
It looks cool. I mean, if it goes on sale or something, I might pick it up and play it.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, this is cool. And I'm glad that they gave it a good review. So if you're a fan of Legacy of Kain, you should definitely check these remasters out.
Mm-hmm.
And our last story from NintendoLife.com, retro-style platformer Ninja 1987 isn't shy about its inspirations. Ratalakia Games is bringing Seep's 8-bit platformer Ninja 1987 to Switch on December 13th, so it came out this past Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the NES-style visuals, the inspiration for this one is pretty clear. It's a tribute to Ninja Gaiden, Shinobi, and other retro ninja platformers of the 80s and early 90s. Developer Seep is a studio formed by 2 brothers who love old-school video games, with the Sword and Bone series, which was inspired by Ghost and Goblins, Biomech Hell, a bit of Contra, Gunstar Heroes, and Metal Slug, and Abduction Bit, Bubble Bobble, and Ice Climber, all under the developer's belt. That Abduction Bit sounds really fun because I love Bubble Bobble. Ice Climbers is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to look into that one. The game's only $5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get this because my love for Ninja Gaiden knows no bounds. So I'm gonna go get this and play it.
And it's like I said, it's $5.
Yeah, you can't beat $5. Come on.
Yeah, that's nothing compared to some of these other games that are like $20 or $30, and you're like, I can't. But this, I think it's worth getting.
I think
it looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, it looks like an old Nintendo game, so I'm definitely for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But we're done with the news, and now it is time for this month in video game history. On December 17th of 1987, Capcom releases the first Mega Man game in the long-standing series for the NES Famicom.
Mega Man, I feel like December and January were like Mega Man months.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every year when we do gaming history, we get to December, okay, well, there's going to be at least 2 or 3 Mega Man titles, and same thing in January.
Got to get them out in time for Christmas.
Which, if you're a diehard Mega Man fan, you know they're consistent, so you have a pretty good idea of when the games are going to come out. December 15th of 1989, Hudson Soft releases Bonk's Adventure, introducing the TurboGrafx-16 mascot and starting the Bonk franchise.
I remember going to Toys R Us when I was a kid, and they had a TurboGrafx-16. They had all the video game systems hooked up to where you could actually play them. I played a lot of Bonk's Adventure in Toys R Us back then.
Yeah, I think I reviewed both Bonk's games. I know I had definitely reviewed the first one, and I enjoy them. It's your classic platformer. It's got a cool dynamic with having to use your large cranium to fight enemies. So it's got a cool dynamic to it.
I know you reviewed the TurboGrafx-16 version. I should review the Nintendo version because they eventually ported it over to the NES, and I've never played it, and I don't know how good or bad it is.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea.
On December 10th of 1994, Nintendo releases Wario's Woods for the NES, the last official game to be released for the NES in North America before Nintendo would officially discontinue production of the console. I forgot that Wario's Woods was the very last game they made.
That'd be a great retro game trivia question.
Yeah.
What was the last game released for the NES? I don't think I've actually... I feel like I have played Wario's Woods.
I don't know.
I don't know if we've reviewed it, but I know I've at least dabbled into it.
I know you've reviewed Wario games before. I never have because I'm not as well versed in Wario games as you are.
Well, we can check the archives and find out. I know I've reviewed the Game Boy games.
If there's only a series of tubes connected by computers, we could check.
Let's see, Wario.
Yeah, Tyler says there's 3 bonks on the TurboGrafx-16 and 1 on the NES and 1 on the SNES. I didn't know they made one for the Super Nintendo. I know there was a Nintendo one.
I didn't know that either. Let's see. We have not reviewed Wario's Woods. So I've reviewed Wario Blast featuring Bomberman.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
And Wario Land 1, 2, and 3.
We might have to remedy that.
Yeah, so even the 4th Wario Land is still out there. This breaks my heart every time we talk about it, but I have to bring it up. December 3rd, 1996, LucasArts and Nintendo released Star Wars Shadows of the Empire for the Nintendo 64 in North America. Somewhere in the multiverse, this game is still canon, and that is probably a happier universe.
Somewhere in that happier multiverse universe, there's a movie that they made for Shadows of the Empire, and that's where Star Wars was kept alive and was never sold to Disney, and George Lucas is still making Star Wars content, but he's handed it off to his protege, what's his name that runs
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni, who him and Jon Favreau are making all kinds of cool Star Wars content out of Lucasfilm right now, and they're like, should we do an entire Heir to the Empire movies based on the books? And they're just like, yeah, let's do that, and they do it, and it's awesome, and that universe is the one I want to live in.
Yeah, and that could be its own separate podcast, but I would have loved if they made the sequel trilogy after the original, make it in the 90s, base it off of Heir to the Empire, and then you still could have gone back and done the prequels.
Made it back in the 90s when Mark Hamill and Han Solo and Carrie Fisher were all still age appropriate, And then we could have had Dash Rendar, as a Han Solo competitor over who's cooler.
That would have been great.
Can we go to that universe? Can we have them turn the Large Hadron Collider on and back on so we can get sucked into that universe, please?
Yeah, the hype for those movies would have been so good.
Dude, can you imagine if they would have made the Heir to the Empire movies back in the 90s?
That would be a good discussion to like fan cast that movie. Like, who would play Thrawn? Who would play Dash Rendar if you were to do Shadows of the Empire? That'd be a fun discussion.
You know who would have made a great Thrawn? It would have been Billy Zane, basically playing his character from Demon Knight, but as just a blue guy.
Yeah, paint him blue, pop some red contacts in his eyes, and he'll be good to go.
What could have been? What could have been?
You're up next.
Oh, am I? Oh, sorry. December,
yeah, we got 2 left.
Here's our penultimate one. December of 2001, Panasonic releases the GameCube-based Q Multimedia Console. Say that 3 times fast. What is the Q Multimedia Console?
It's the GameCube with the DVD player.
I have seen one of these, and
there's last time I checked. Now this has been months. There was one at the retro gaming store down the road from my house.
Wow!
I wanted to get it so badly, but it was like $400, something like that. And I'm like, I can't. My wife will kill me if I do that.
Tell her it's for her. It's a Christmas present for her. But if you don't know what the Panasonic Q is, it is a hybrid version of the GameCube with a standard DVD player. It was developed by Panasonic in a strategic alliance with Nintendo to develop the optical drive for the original GameCube hardware. It has a stainless steel case and is completely revised with a DVD-sized front-loading tray, a backlit LCD screen with playback controls, and a carrying handle like the GameCube. This thing just sounds great.
And, of course, it was only sold in Japan.
Of course, yeah. They always got the good stuff.
I get why Nintendo didn't want to go the route of, like, the PS2 or the Xbox where it could play DVDs. But if you look at it from the other side, the PS2 sold a lot of consoles.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had good games, but it also served as a DVD player for a lot of people.
Yeah, honestly, I think that might have been the biggest downfall for the GameCube, is that it was not also a DVD player.
Agreed. The small discs are cool, but
they're easily losable.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I just think they should have went with standard size discs. And finally, December 3rd of 2001, HAL Laboratory and Nintendo released Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube in North America, still the standard bearer of the Smash Bros. Franchise. I know that the sequels to it have been great too, like Brawl for the Wii I really liked. The Wii U version, I think, is underrated. Ultimate for the Switch is obviously really good, but they when they do Smash Brothers competitions, they still use Melee.
That's what I was going to say. They nailed it when here we are 23 years later, and they're still using Melee for competitions.
And this might be a little nitpicky, because this game technically wasn't a launch title for the GameCube. It came out like a month after the GameCube launched. This would have been one of the greatest launch titles ever.
Tyler says
any
Ultimate
console
is better.
I'm not disagreeing with it. Like, Ultimate is my favorite, but Melee really, I think, kind of set the standard for Smash Brothers.
He says, and a GameCube controller is not required to play Smash. I don't know if you don't like that controller or not, but I think that's one of the best controllers ever made was the GameCube controller. I don't care what anybody says. That I love the GameCube controller.
It's my favorite.
It's
well,
so
it's just
good.
so like it fits perfectly in your hands. I love the divots in the trigger buttons, so it's like your fingers kind of fit into the buttons. The placement's great. The C stick is so much better than the C buttons from the N64 controller. I love that controller.
If I could do one change to the GameCube controller, it would be the thumbsticks to be both uniform and concave, like a Xbox controller or a Pro controller.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Oh, he says I love it, but it is perfectly fine playing without it. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, and I have friends like this, that whenever we would play Smash Brothers for the later consoles, they would want to use a GameCube controller. But I'm like, you can use the Wii remote, and it's perfectly fine. You can use the SNES style, controller you could plug into the Wii remote, and it's perfectly fine.
Dude, I forgot to tell you, I saw a Wii U the other day in the wild at
I'm sorry,
kind of weird flea market thing that we go to, and but all it was the Wii U. It didn't have any connectors or anything, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to get this. You can't even update it, I don't think, anymore. So what would be the point?
They should have paid you to take it off their hands.
Just to have as a relic. Be like, now I have all the Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we go into the review tonight, Derek, would you like to do our Patreon shout-outs?
As always, we like to shout out our awesome patrons over at patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. We want to shout out Romualdo Marquez, Wally Phelps, Brian Piotrowski, Nick W., Eld the Zombie, Yup Fed, a.k.a. Knife, excuse me, James, a.k.a. at Jimbo Jr. on our Discord, Raven, Danny House, Justin Nispel, Daniel Salmon, Mr. B-Rez Coffee himself, Tyler Watson, Axeblade07, Armez Jackson, Carlos Longoria, a.k.a. I am the Rampage, Staff Sergeant Sketch, Gus and Penny, Matthew Salmon, Mr. Joey Image, and of course,
Mama Diamond.
Donna Diamond. Thank you all so much for your continued contributions and keeping the lights on for us here at the Nerd Cave Retro Podcast. It's the holiday season. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to, if you have a friend or a family member who's a podcast fanatic, and maybe they even like retro games, you can get them a subscription for as little as $1.
Mm-hmm. And you can,
for $1.
You can gift the subscriptions now, so go
yes,
check out
can.
The very first post on our Patreon or go on our Facebook. Where I posted it everywhere on all our socials. Just go look at that link, and it'll show you how to gift a Patreon membership to the person you love.
And for as little as $1 a month, you get your own RSS feed that is completely ad-free. Mm-hmm. You get early access to our bonus episodes, which include, for the most part, commentary tracks. We've done roundtable discussions as well, but we've commented on many cinematic masterpieces like the Super Mario Brothers movie, not the good one, the one that we grew up with.
What do you mean, not the good one?
Also, great masterpieces like Double Dragon, Thunder in Paradise. You can't get great content like that just anywhere. And for as little as $1 a month. So if you want to be a part of our awesome Patreon community, just head over to patreon.com/nerdcaveretro. And for new patrons, be sure to send us your social media info so we can give you a proper shout out.
And tonight we're going to be talking about... That's what I'm talking. Now that's a theme song right there.
Oh, the music in this game is so freaking good.
Love it.
It's great. We'll get to the music in a little bit, but this is a little bit of a different type of review than what you might be used to on this show, because it's not a retro game. This game actually came out 2 months ago. but on occasion we have broken that rule, and I wanted to review a Sonic game. Exactly, Tyler. Butt rock. That's exactly what it is. But I without shame love it. But yeah, I wanted to review a Sonic game because, of course, as we're doing this, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie, comes out in just a couple of days. Mm-hmm. Shadow is obviously a big part of the movie, has been a big part of the marketing. They actually just released some DLC for the game where you go through a small portion of the movie where Shadow even changes his appearance and his voice becomes the voice of Keanu Reeves.
Do you think at any point during the movie Shadow's going to say, "Whoa"?
I hope so. I mean, in the last trailer, he pulled out a gun, so he's already got John Wick vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get to the DLC too in a little bit. But of course, I'm talking about Shadow Generations, which is a 2024 platform game developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. And this might be a little mind-blowing, but it is the second Sonic game to feature Shadow as the protagonist. The only other one being Shadow the Hedgehog, which came out in 2005. Which that had a little bit of controversy behind it because it was a little more darker and mature than what people took from Sonic games. Because there was cursing and Shadow also used guns and other various types of weaponry.
I didn't know there was cursing in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's real quick side story. There's a lot of different alternative paths that you can take in Shadow the Hedgehog, where you could become either a hero or a villain. If you go the most evil route that you can go in the game, the last thing he says is, "I'm Shadow the Hedgehog and I'm going to destroy this damn planet." I'm like, whoa. To quote Keanu, whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. But yeah, so this is not available as its own game. It is a bundle with Sonic Generations, which came out in 2011. So you essentially get two games for the price of one. And I was very surprised at how in-depth Shadow Generations goes. Because its face value, you might think, okay, well, it was just like some DLC. You might get 2 or 3 levels, but it's just as big, if not bigger, than Sonic Generations.
How long?
Does
it take to go through it?
I should have checked to see how long it took me to complete it, but it took me longer to complete Shadow Generations than it did Sonic, which is surprising. But what the game is about, so it runs parallel to the story of Sonic Generations, and in that story, Robotnik finds this creature called the Time Eater, where he's going to use it to wipe out time and rebuild it in his image. So in that game, you essentially go through some of the classic Sonic levels to kind of restore the past so you can get to the present. Shadow's not really featured in the game except as a mini boss battle. But Shadow has his own story that is similar to that runs parallel. So to go into a little bit of Shadow's backstory, for those that may not know much about him, he was created by Robotnik's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. He was frozen in time for 50 years before he was awoken. And he was made from the blood of a creature named Black Doom. And he's the antagonist of the Shadow the Hedgehog spin-off game. Well, in Shadow Generations, he's somehow resurrected. And you have to go through previous levels from Shadow's games in order to get to Black Doom. But these levels are long. Usually in Sonic games, you get through a level in 3, maybe 5 minutes. Some of these, it took me over 10 minutes to complete because there's just a lot of... It has kind of the modern Sonic gameplay style where it kind of goes between 2D and 3D, which I actually really like.
I was going to ask you how that worked, because I haven't seen any kind of gameplay for it. Is it different levels are different 2D and 3D?
So it's a mix of both. So there are two different acts for each level you go through. Act 1 is mostly in 3D. Act 2 is mostly in 2D with a little bit of 3D element. So say like you'll be running straight ahead, and once you get to a certain point in the level, the perspective changes, and then it becomes 2 or 2.5D. And a lot of people have said that the Sonic games were at its best during the 2D era, which I agree with. So I like that they've added that into the more modern Sonic games.
Yeah.
But despite that, what I love about this game the most is its story. Even though it runs parallel to Sonic Generations, you are faced with characters from Shadow's past that were kind of like plucked from a point in time. So you remember in Spider-Man No Way Home how like the villains were plucked from their universe right before they died, so they're still like their younger selves. But Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were older.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it's like for the story. So at one point, Professor Gerald and Maria, who is Gerald's granddaughter and was close friends with Shadow before, spoilers, she was shot and killed by a member of the gun military organization, which I think we're going to end up seeing in the movie. And it's, I don't know how that's going to go over because it's kind of ruthless for a kid's movie, but they may change it. I don't know. But that's beside the point. So Shadow has to relive seeing them again, and then when the game ends, obviously they have to go back to their point in time. So then he has to say goodbye to them again. And it hit me pretty hard.
That sucks.
For a game about a walking, talking hedgehog.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the game, Shadow's kind of running back towards present day, and Rouge the Bat is flying after him, and she gets hit with this water in her face, but it's not water, it's his tears. I'm just like, man, he's like been portrayed as this. Tyler, yeah, so she was gunned down.
Oh, boo.
Harsh. Harsh, yeah. But yeah, that's the main reason why I really enjoyed this game, and I enjoyed it so much more than I expected. And I haven't even really touched on the gameplay at all. You get these new abilities called Doom Powers, which are amazing. So there are certain times where you actually sprout wings and you can glide through like different parts of the level. I should have pulled up the different names. I'll actually look that up real quick. Doom Powers.
Also, I was looking up on howlongtobeat.com. It says the main story, 5.5 hours. Main plus sides, 10 hours. Completionist, 29 hours. All styles, 10 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty good for what some would consider to be DLC.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Okay, so there's Doom Spear, Doom Blast, Morph, Wing, and Surf. So these different abilities, when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was a little too gimmicky. But once you actually get them and use them, they're actually really cool, and they kind of make you a little overpowered sometimes. So Doom Spear is basically like you harness these little energy bolts, and you can throw them at different enemies that are ahead of you on your path. Doom Morph is when you have to go through this kind of like sludge-like material, but you can also move really fast. Doom Surf is when you land on water, this kind of like manta ray looking creature pops up beneath you, and you ride it like a surfboard.
That's
so
cool.
It adds a really cool dynamic to it, and one that I did not expect.
So is that the Doom things you said? Is that the chaos control? It says here.
So chaos control is an ability that Shadow already has.
Okay.
It's basically he can use the power of a chaos emerald to freeze time for like 5 to 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Which you can use, and it's really cool because everything kind of turns into this Tron Legacy kind of neon type of screen, and then you see like the countdown at the bottom of your screen, but you're still moving, and everything's just kind of. Let's see. Oh, Doom Surf sounds like a fun music genre.
I would listen
that sounds
to that.
like a cool band name too.
Yeah, I played bass for Doom Surf back in the 90s.
But the new abilities, the graphics are great. Some of the best in any Sonic game that I can remember, and even the Sonic Generations remaster looks really good too. And this honestly plays a lot better than Sonic Generations does, because you could tell that they took the foundation of what Sonic Generations laid, and it's a good game in and of itself. It had its flaws, mainly the camera issue that's been a problem for all the 3D Sonic games.
Yeah.
But funny enough, it's not for Shadow Generations. Like, I didn't have any issues with it, which is very surprising. So when you've got that, you've got a great story that's very emotional for a Sonic game. I think the timing of this was really well done, because it'll give people a chance to learn more about a character that's going to be, pretty prominently featured in this movie that's coming out in a few days. And before I give my number score, I downloaded the DLC. It was a little bit of a ripoff for $6, but I still enjoyed it. So basically what happens is, once you download the DLC, you're in your main hub world, which is called the White Space. This ring appears, and you know how in the movies they use the rings to teleport to different places.
Yeah.
One of those pops up, and you see Tokyo, Japan. When you jump in, you're in the movie setting, with the movie version of Gun coming after you. And Shadow's got, the realistic looking fur. And then whenever he talks, you're like, that's Keanu Reeves. And if the game is any inclination, he's going to make a great Shadow the Hedgehog. Because you hear his little mannerisms like as you're moving through the game, and he nailed it. So if the movie's any indication, or if the game is any indication of how the movie's going to be,
so is that
he's going to be perfect for that role.
It says additional level based on scenes from the 2024 film Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was released as DLC on December 12th. So is that what that was? That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, and it's very short, but they could add to it. And I think they might once the movie's been out for a bit, because they didn't want to really give anything away as far as story goes. But this is, and Tyler says, I love the original Sonic Generations. This one sounds fun too. It's worth getting just for the Shadow portion, but going back and even playing Sonic Generations was a lot of fun. So you get two of the best modern Sonic games for the price of one, and that to me cannot be beat.
And it says, and pretty much the Metacritic score is hovering around an 87, so it's very, very on the positive end from what all the critics say.
Mm-hmm. And Nick in the chat says Shadow Generations has some really cool boss fights. Yeah, I didn't even mention the boss fights. They're really, really fun. One that surprised me is that in Sonic Heroes, you fight this really like souped up version of Metal Sonic, and you end up fighting him in Shadow Generations, and I wasn't expecting it at all. And like you're in the you're on the water doing your surf thing, and then all of a sudden he flies over you, and I'm like, holy crap. And it's one of my favorite boss fights of the whole game. So it's a great trip down memory lane if you're a Sonic fan. It's also a great introduction, as I said, to the Shadow character. IGN gave the PS5 version a 9 out of 10. Nintendo Life gave the Switch version a 9 out of 10. GameSpot 6 out of 10 for PS5. Hardcore Gamer 4 out of 5 for the PS5 version. I'm going to go right there with them. This gets a 9 out of 10 for me. Honestly, it's probably in my top 10, and it's in the higher end between 5 and 10 of my favorite Sonic games of all time.
Nice.
I'm glad they finally figured out the 3D Sonic formula. It only took them like 20 years to do it, but better late than never, I guess.
I think I'm gonna have to play this because you've sold me on it. As someone who hasn't played a Sonic game since 3, it sounds like I might actually enjoy this one.
Well, I think you'll enjoy the Sonic Generations side of it too, because it has elements from the old games. And you can play as both classic and modern Sonic too.
Nice.
Which is fun. They'll have, like modern remixes of the classic themes, classic remixes of the modern ones. They do a really, really good job with everything with this game. So
I'm so looking forward to the movie. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm going. So I get off work at 4 on Thursday, and we're going at 5.
Oh, nice
to see it. So and for those that are watching on YouTube, I have a Sonic Ugly sweater that I was trying to find so I could wear it on the show. I'm gonna find it and wear it to the premiere of the movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully they have the Sonic popcorn buckets still in stock, because if they do, I'm gonna get one.
But next week, like I said, we are going to be off for Christmas. But when we return on Monday the 30th, I will be doing another modern style game. We're going to be doing the Resident Evil 4 remake. And if I can, I might actually play the original Resident Evil 4 too, because it's like $5 on sale right now. I forgot who told me about it. I wanted to give them credit on the Discord. Do you remember who was telling me about it was on sale?
I can't remember.
Who told me it was on sale? I feel bad because they told me it was on sale, and now I can't remember, and I'm trying to vamp, and I'm vamping badly. I don't remember, but they told me that it's on sale, and it's on sale for the next like 18 days on if you have an Xbox, or if you have you use PC or something like Microsoft. In the Microsoft store, it's on sale for $5. Yeah, Tyler, I think it was Morley on the Discord. But I think I might try to play the original Resident Evil 4 before the review. But if not, I am going to be reviewing the Resident Evil 4 remake that just came out not too long ago. And let me tell you, the first playthrough was great, but getting to go through New Game Plus a second time with all my stuff that I still had at the beginning of the first game, I got some things to say. It's been so fun.
I'll make some popcorn.
Yeah. And after that, when we come back after that, do you want to do the top 5 after that, Derek?
Yeah, we can do that.
So officially, the first episode of 2025 is going to be a top 5 list. So who knew?
Fitting. Yeah.
Starting 2025 off with a bang, we're going to do top 5 missed opportunities in movies and TV. So Derek, you want to kind of give everybody the rundown of that?
Yeah, so if you've never done a top 5 or listen to a top 5 or participate in the top 5, so what we'll do is we will put out a post saying we're going to be doing top 5 missed opportunities in movies and TV. You can join our Discord, and we have a sub page. I can never remember what you actually call them, but it's basically like a top 5 sub page.
Yeah.
You can leave your list there. You can leave them on any of our socials or email us, nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. We'll read our list, and then we'll read those that are submitted after that. So I always love the top fives because it makes for great conversation, because our top fives are usually pretty different. And then the listeners are usually, I feel like, quite different than the ones that I do. So but it makes you think, like, okay, maybe I should have included that. It makes for great conversation.
So that's going to be top 5 missed opportunities in movies and TV. And before we go, I do want to do this listener review on the Discord. So if you want to have your review read on the show, go join the Discord, and we have a Discord tab up there. That's what they're called, Derek. Tabs over there on the left.
There we go. Tabs.
We do have a listener review tab. This one is from Bethany Fox. And said, this week on Bethany Fox Reviews is a game I played and streamed years ago, and that is Transistor. It was published and developed by Supergiant Games. In Transistor, the player controls Red, a popular singer in the city of Cloudbank, as she moves through the sci-fi themed cityscape and battles robotic enemies collectively known as the Process. The game is presented through an isometric camera and features both real-time combat and a frozen, turn-based mode. The player is armed with a great sword-like weapon, the titular Transistor, through which various powers called functions are used against the enemies. The game uses an isometric point of view. The player controls the main character, Red, as she travels through a series of locations battling enemies known collectively as the Process in both real-time combat and frozen planning mode, referred to as turn. Using turn drains the action bar, which refills after a short delay. Something's weird here. Till it is full again. Red cannot use turn or any other power, with a few exceptions. Red earns experience points after each battle and may collect new powers called functions from fallen victims of the Process. Functions can be used in several ways. First, they can be equipped in one of 4 active skill slots. Second, they can be used as an upgrade to augment another equipped function. Third, they can be equipped in a passive skill slot for a persistent effect during battle. For example, the function Spark may be used to fire an explosive attack to split the effects of another function, or to passively spawn Red's decoys. With a total of 16 functions, there are many combinations, allowing for great degree of customization to fit different playstyles. Red can also collect and activate limiters, which serve as optional debuffs during combat, but in turn increase experience gained. Both functions and limiters reveal lore from Transistor's world after being used for a certain amount of time. Transistor is an absolute beautiful game, and the art style is similar to Hades, and it's one of the best games out there from this developer. Being only their second game, and the developer really knocked it out of the park. The soundtrack is beautiful and very much in the background, and yet soothing and peaceful when just wandering around, and when in combat, the tone changes and comes more into the forefront to bring you into the action. The story is captivating and makes you want more of it. I do highly recommend going into this game blind so you don't spoil the ending and the story. Everything here is free from spoilers, so hopefully the review makes you want to play it. I highly recommend this game, and I think it's basically available everywhere and worth the money. I rate this game 8 out of 10. Critics' reviews are high with 8s and 9s out of 10. And again, that game is called Transistor.
I like that.
I like it. I love
thanks
Hades.
for sending that review.
Yeah, I love Hades. So if this is anything like Hades, this sounds like it might be right up my alley.
Yeah.
But Derek, anything going on before we get out of here tonight?
I actually do have some exciting news that we broke on social media a couple of weeks ago. So this past summer, my wife and I filmed a short film that she wrote and directed. And we have set the premiere date for the movie, which is called Plain Jane. It will be February 1st, which is a Saturday, at the University of West Florida Auditorium. You can get tickets at facebook.com/plainjanemovie. You can also follow the movie on Instagram as well. There's a link in the bio to purchase tickets there. So we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we'll have a really fun night. And even though it's 2 months away, it'll be like next week, and it'll be here. So.
It feels like when the release is like the light at the end of the tunnel, when it's really just another beginning when it happens.
Yeah, it really is. So The movie's pretty much done, minus a few things, but yeah, I think it's turned out really well. Hopefully, everyone else thinks so as well. So,
awesome.
If you're in the Pensacola area, come check it out.
Well, good luck with everything, and it's going to do its festival run, I suppose.
Yep, right after that. Yep.
Awesome. Well, good luck with all that. I know that's the exciting time for the movie.
Yeah. Yep.
But other than the Open Micers podcast, I don't have much to plug for right now. Just go check out the Open Micers podcast. Me and Mr. Jacob Craig over there, openmicers.com, at Open Micers Podcast on Instagram. We're closing out the year. We just talked to Mr. Duncan Stone Street last week, who was just on, got a bucket pull. He's a friend of ours, and he got bucket pulled at Kill Tony not too long ago, and we talked to him about that. And then we've got one more episode before the end of the year, and that's going to be a hostful episode where me and Jacob just kind of talk to each other about things that are going on in our lives, and we make fun of each other the whole episode. So that'll be coming up later this week. And Derek, anything else before we get out of here?
I think that's it.
Let's walk out the door. If you want to email us at openmicerspodcast at gmail.com. Nerdcaveretro.com is our link tree. That takes you everywhere you need to go. All the socials, the Patreon, the merch shop, which you can go to ncrmerch.com. And over there you can get all kind of designs. You can get t-shirts, hats, magnets, bags, mugs, whatever your nerdy little heart desires. Also, leave us, here's the thing. If you can't be a patron, you can't give us any money. I understand it's Christmas. People are broke. I get it. But the best thing you can do is go leave us a review and or a 5-star rating on all podcasting platforms. So Derek, please tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Yes.
Brainless idiots, you couldn't even beat a motley group of gnomes.
And that's an episode.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for hanging out with us, everybody. I love seeing a nice rolling chat room while we're doing the show.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, Merry
Christmas. We won't be here next week.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll try to drop those commentary tracks and all that stuff as soon as we get them done. But things are busy. It's Christmas and things are just out of whack and crazy. So as soon as we get them done, we'll drop them.
Yeah.
But thank you all for hanging out with us.